Hello, in this video we're going to learn how to use Discord.js to make our own custom Discord bot. We're going to start really simple with a bot that can respond to basic text triggers, and then we're going to get a little more complicated and add the ability for the bot to respond to reactions, which are like the little emojis that you can add under Discord messages. I hope the concepts in this video will empower you to make whatever kind of Discord bot you can dream up. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is create an application within Discord's developer portal. So that's discord.com/developers/applications. You'll see any applications that you already have created. I'm going to assume you don't have any yet, and so we'll go ahead and create a new one. So to do that, you click New Application, and then you can name it whatever you want. So I don't know, Drew's tutorial bot. Sounds good to me. So I'll go ahead and say Create, and that will put us on our application landing page. Scrolling back up to the top here, there's an option for public bot, which means anybody out there can add your bot to their server. It defaults to on, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to turn it off. And then I'll save changes. In your application landing page, you can rename whatever you put before if you don't like it, want to change it. You can also upload an app icon. So to do that, you just click this button, or you can drag in an image here. I'm going to drag in this one that I prepared ahead of time. Clippy, inspired by good old Microsoft Word Clippy. He's going to be our bot's identity. Now, the second step is to actually create the bot part of this application. And to do that, you go over to this bot tab, and you'll say it'll give you some messaging about how this bot can bring life to your application and make your server do all kinds of cool stuff. And that's what we want. So we're going to say add bot. And then if you create one, you can't undo it. So we're just going to go ahead and confirm that, yes, we want to do this. And now our bot has appeared. We're on the bot landing page again, where we have some additional UI. If you scroll to the bottom of the bot tab, you'll see lists of permissions, general, text, and voice permissions. By default, they're all turned off so that the bot can't go wild and do all these administrative things. That would be bad. And so you kind of have to opt into them as you want them. So what we're going to do is tick send messages and embed links. The next thing we're going to do is invite our bot to our server. So to do that, you go over to this OAuth 2 tab. There's a section over here with scopes, and what you can do is just check bot, and then Discord will generate this invite link for you. You can just copy that, and then in a new tab, just paste it in. And this is my server on the right. This is my bot on the left. What you can do is say add to server. Pick your server. This is ours, Glenn, Drew, and Friends Make Games. And then we just click authorize, and it might ask you for a reCAPTCHA. Yes, so you can do that to prove you're not a robot yourself. And then you'll be authorized. And now our bot should be appearing in our server. Now to confirm that our bot is here, I've pulled open our Discord server, and in our default chat channel, I see a welcome message from Discord saying Drew's tutorial bot has arrived. Now I'm going to click on Drew's tutorial bot, and right here by default there are no roles assigned to the bot. And so what I'm going to do is press this button and then add bots by Drew. This is a custom role that I've created. You can do that in your server settings. The server settings, you just spindle open this top here, server settings, and then there's a tab for roles. You can add roles. I've created one just for bots. It's called Bots by Drew. To give us a playground to actually start working on the bot and to make sure it's working properly, I created a new text channel called Drew Bot Test. And in here, I've only invited roles that are Drew and bots. There's admins in here as well, but no need to worry about that. To create the channel, you can go to the add here, text channel, you select private channel, and then in private channel, you can one by one select the roles. So what I did for the other one was say Drew, bots by Drew, and then create channel. Now it's time to actually use Discord.js to start writing some code for our bot. So what I've done is created a new project. Inside here we have app.js. I did npm init to create a new fresh package JSON file. There's nothing in there yet. And this is where all of our code is going to live. All I'm going to do here is install the library. So it's npm install save discord.js. Now that the library is installed, we can use it. So let's go ahead and start writing some code. So I'll say const discord equals require discord.js. VS Code's trying to help. And then right underneath that, we're going to create our first client. And it's going to be const client equals new discord.client. Now we need to link this code project with the bot that we created in our Discord developer portal. So to do that, you need to log in to the client. So we'll say client.login. And then here, we're going to put a string in here that's going to be our token. To get your token, you go back to our Discord developer portal. So here I've pulled up my Discord developer portal again. I'm in the bot tab. There's a token section. You click copy to copy your secret token to your clipboard. It's important you don't share this. Otherwise, someone else might be able to log into your bot as you. We don't want that. So keep it secret, and then we can paste it into our project. Now I'm back here in our project in VS Code. What we want to do is use that token that we copied from Discord right here as this string. But generally, it's not a good idea to just leave it right here because this file will likely get version controlled or passed around to someone else or something, and you don't want this token just hanging out there. And so good best practice is to keep it in a different file and then not version control that file. So to do that, we'll create a new file. I'll call it like token.js, call it whatever you want. And we'll say module.exports equals a string. And then what you'll do is paste this much, paste whatever you copied in from Discord. Back to our main app file. To get that token, we're going to say const token equals require, just like we did before, token.js. Down here, where we use the string, we can just use token. And now we'll be pulling the token from the other file. Now when we boot up this file, client.login will fire with our token, which should log our application into our Discord application. And to verify that's working, I can go ahead and just paste in some code here. So what I've done here is say client.onReady. Ready is an event that will fire when the app is logged in and ready to go, ready to start doing stuff. And as soon as that happens, we're going to console.log out our client user tag, which is like the friendly name of our app. So I'm going to go ahead and run this by saying node app.js, and we see logged in as Drew's tutorial bot, which is great. That matches what we put in Discord, so we know that things are wired up and working. Now that we know our bot is online and working, we can add more event listeners to it. So let's say, how about client.onMessage, and then in our callback, we get our message. This is what happens when any user posts anything into a Discord channel that the bot is in. What you can do is say like if message.content. Inside message will be a class that has all kinds of stuff on it. But one of the things that comes back is the message content, which is the text that was posted. Let's say if it equals. This is straight from the documentation, but I want to walk through it before we make it more interesting. If it's ping, we can message.reply, which is another thing we can do. Pong. So if any message is posted that is just ping and ping alone, the bot will then reply with Pong. Now let's start up the app again. So I'll open a terminal. This time I'm going to use a tool called node.mon. Node.mon stands for node monitor. What it'll do is watch this file, and anytime the file changes and I hit save, it'll reboot the node app, so I don't have to constantly be saying node.app.js or whatever. So we'll say node.mon app.js. You can install that globally if you want it. It's really handy. So I run that, our bot logs in, and now over in our Discord channel, if I type a message that is just ping like that, we should see the bot reply with Pong. So ping, Pong. And now you see that the bot has replied to my post here. Something I want to point out is that what we use here is the reply method, and that means it's going to reply, might sound obvious, but there's a little bit of nuance. The reply is going to be in response to something else that was posted. So you see here that the bot automatically tagged me as a user because this is a reply. Now let's make our Clippy bot a little bit more on brand. Something that one of my teams in the past has had before is a thing where like someone's always asking about, hey, do we have documentation for this or that? So let's make Clippy help out with that. So instead of just looking for ping directly, that's kind of boring. We'll say dot includes. So just does the string include at all the word documentation? And if that's true, here instead of saying Pong, and here just note that we replied with one string. You can also reply with an array to do multiple lines. So how about it? It sounds like you might be looking for documentation. And so this is an array, so we can do multiple lines. So how about try one of the following links, to make it nice and helpful. And then we'll just say, how about docs. Here you can also just do links in the text. So discord.js.guide is the actual documentation for this library. We'll link that in the description below for sure. So let's go ahead and fire this up. If I am typing and I say, hey, is there documentation? See that the bot now responds with a link saying, it looks like you might be looking for documentation. And then the actual link text is clickable, which is nice. So far, we have a pretty solid, basic Discord bot. It can listen to messages and respond accordingly. But now let's get a little bit more complicated. We're going to start adding the bot's ability to react to reactions, which again are the little emojis you can add to any post. To demonstrate how a bot can use reactions, we're going to make a quick team generator. Imagine you have people in a Discord channel that want to all group up together for some competitive match of some kind, 2 different teams, but they want the team makeups to be completely random. That's something our bot can do. We're going to call this match thing a Scrim, which is a popular gamer term. And so what we'll do is make a class for a Scrim. I'm just feeling kind of in a class kind of mood today. But I'll say class Scrim, and then when we create it, we're going to pass in a message, and that's going to be the mechanism that you create. Like, I'm creating a Scrim now. I do that by typing a certain message, and then along with like max players, so that we can define how many people we want to allow into the Scrim. And then we'll say just our class stuff. So the message, this message will be a message, and this max players will be max players. And then what we're going to do is keep a list of players that have opted in to join the Scrim, and that will just be an array. Now we'll add a method for adding a player. Oops, caps lock. Add player, and that'll take in an ID. This ID will be the ID that the Discord API gives us, unique ID per user. And we'll say this players push. So push to the back the ID when a player is added. But then what we want to do is once a player is added, we're going to notify the server that a new person has joined the Scrim. And so to do that, let's make another method that we'll use a few times. How about announce player count? And this is going to be a method that posts to the server saying this.message. Again, before we only used reply. We said this.message.reply, which would post the actual like tagged reply to the original post. What we want to do is send a new message to the channel that this message was in. So to do that, we grab the channel, which is just this particular chat room kind of thing, and then we say send. And send is kind of the alternative to reply, where send will not include that tag with it. So we can say like there are players.length people in the Scrim, and this needs to be this.players.length. Let's go ahead and add this method call. So announce players, announce player count. We'll do that right after we add a new player. Now we have a basic foundation for the bot to use, a Scrim class. You can add players to it. When you add players to it, it'll announce stuff to the channel. To let the users start new Scrims, what we can do is add another message handler. So I'm going to copy this one over and change a bunch of stuff. So we'll get rid of the middle here, and we'll say instead of includes documentation, like we said before, we'll say starts with plus Scrim. Plus is kind of a convention in Discord to trigger bot commands. Let's define a default number of players now. So how about var player slots equals, we'll say 4 is the default. Now what we want the bot to do here is to actually respond to the message that the user said, and the bot's message, the reply, is going to be the piece that people are able to opt into, not the original message. So to do that, we get access to the bot's response. So first, let's go ahead and respond. So the bot is able to say message.reply, just like we did before. And we'll make some nice prompt text. I'm just going to paste this in because it'll save us some time. Let's say that the prompt text is Scrim created with player slots, add reaction to join. So this is the message people will add reaction to, and then we'll do stuff off that. So message.reply will reply with the prompt text, and then the reply method returns a promise. So whenever it's done posting and creating that message, we get back our Scrim message, or we could even say like our bot message. To be a little bit more clear, this is the response that says created with Scrim created with however many slots. And now we'll go ahead and create our new Scrim. And so let's go up here. And right now we want to keep a little bit of a list of Scrims that are created. That way multiple people can create a Scrim. And so we create a new little object there that holds all of our Scrims. So we'll say Scrims, and then our bot message.id. So the ID of this message is going to be a Scrim. It's going to be a new Scrim. We're going to go ahead and pass in our bot message so that it can listen to reactions on it. That's what we created before, and then our player slots. Now I'm going to go ahead and test it out. So I'll go back into Discord here and say Scrim plus Scrim. And you see that our bot has responded, Scrim created with 4 slots. Add reaction to join. Now let's add the handler for the bot actually listening to these reactions. So I'm going to, just like before, paste in some code here and then walk through it. We have a new event type called message reaction add, and that's going to come with an async function that gives us a reaction and a user. This block here comes directly from Discord's documentation. They recommend this safeguard that checks that the reaction is actually fully there. Sometimes reaction activity can happen like a lot of back and forth, up and down, where people are adding them and deleting them quickly. By having this little safeguard here, it'll be sure that the reaction is actually there when we get to our code, which is down here. Now I've included this little console log just to make sure that everything's working okay. So when we get a reaction, it's going to log this text and then give us a reference to the reaction so we can check out what's in there. So let's fire this up again. New Scrim, get our response. I'm going to react to the response, choose this one. And now you see that in our console, we logged out the text and then a whole bunch of other stuff. And in here you get all the data about the reaction that was used. If you wanted to validate that a certain type of reaction was used, all of that information is right here in reaction emoji. So when a user does one of these reactions, let's go ahead and add them to our Scrim. And so to do that, we're gonna get rid of this console log here. I'm gonna say, we're gonna look up the Scrim in our list. So the Scrim is gonna be the Scrims and then reaction.message.id. That'll make sure that we are kind of looking up the message that we responded to, and we save that up here. That's our bot message. So that'll exist in our Scrims database somewhere. And then we can say, if you found a Scrim, scrim.addPlayer, the method we created, and go ahead and pass in the user.id. And user, again, comes from our second parameter up here. That'll have a unique ID on it that will get pushed into the array. Let's test this out now. So I'll come here, once again, make a new Scrim. This time I will add another reaction. I use this one. And now you see that the bot posts to the channel, there are 1 people in the Scrim. And I believe if I just keep adding them, I can join the Scrim as many times as I want. Players are getting added to our Scrim just fine. That's good. Now let's go ahead and detect when we're full. So going back up to our Scrim class, we have our add player method. After we fire this, let's just go ahead and check if this dot players dot length, moving my microphone here, equals this dot max players, which is what we passed in the constructor there. Then we'll say this dot handle full match, and this is the new method we'll create down here. At this point, what we want to do is take our list of players, shuffle it, and then divide that list into 2 teams. So we get 2 random teams. Just to borrow something from a friendly person on Stack Overflow, I'm going to go ahead and paste in the shuffle method. And I linked the source right here. But all this is going to do is take in an array and change up the order of that array. Coming back up here, what we can do is in our full match handler, well, we'll create 2 new arrays. How about one for team 1 and one for team 2. And then we'll shuffle them. So how about shuffled players equals use our shuffle method. And instead of shuffling the actual this dot players, that would actually modify the list of players, which in this case wouldn't be that big of a deal, but I tend to avoid that when I can. Mutation is what it's called. Couldn't think of the word. So what I'm going to do is use the spread operator here to just create a copy of that value so that we're not actually mutating our players array. Now that we have a shuffled array, we can say shuffled players.for each. And so what we want is the index here. So get our player ID and then our index. And what we want is, we're just going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So if this index is even, we'll go to team 1. If it's odd, we'll go to team 2. So if and to do that, we can use the modulus. It's like the only time you ever use this thing, the modulus operator. If that is true, then we'll say team1.push the player ID. And the opposite, if that's not true, we'll go ahead and push to team 2. And so what this will do is just kind of push a ID of the player, but that's not very user friendly. What we'd rather do is push a tag to that user, because we're going to use this content in a text message to the channel. And so to do that, and using the Discord API, they have this really nice templating language. So the tag is, you open a angle bracket there, you say the @ sign, then we'll go ahead and add in just the user's ID, which for us right now is player. And then we'll go ahead and close this with just that tag. And then down here, instead of pushing in the player ID, we're going to push in that wrapped templated version so that we get that nice tag. By the end of this, we'll have 2 sorted lists. And so I'm going to clean up this a little bit. And then after that for each is done, we're going to go ahead and post to the channel. And I'm pasting this in again just for time. We're going to say that to the channel, send a new message, Scrim teams. This supports like the markdown kind of formatting. So these 3 asterisks here will make it big and bold and italic at the same time. It'll look neat. And then one line with team 1 where we say team 1, and we're just going to join all of those tags as a comma separated list versus, and then the same thing for team 2. I'm going to try this out now. So I'll say Scrim to start a new Scrim, calling out for 4 emojis. So I'll go 1, 2, 3. Why did I use 4? 4. And now when we get that 4th one, our code knows that our max has been reached. And so we fire our handle full match method that divides the teams. It's kind of hard to tell because it's all just me. But it divides the users into 2 different teams and prints the result. One last kind of nice thing that we can do is actually edit old messages too. So say this Scrim has been filled, we don't need any more people involved. So what we can do is go over here to our send, and send also gives us a promise back. So when the message is sent and it's all done, we'll just give it a little callback here and say this.message, which is that's kind of the root original message that we key off of all the time. We're going to go ahead and edit the text to be Scrim filled. And then now that the Scrim is over and been filled, we can go ahead and, this is just for our little app here, we can delete from Scrims the message ID. One last time, let's go ahead and try this out. So Scrim, to create a new one, I'm going to add 4 reactions just like before. And now we get our final organized team message, but then we also modify the original one saying Scrim filled. So it's no longer asking people to add reactions. Now with that, I'm going to wrap up this video because it's going a little bit longer than I had planned for. There's plenty more we could do as far as feature set in our bot here. We could remove people from the Scrim on reaction remove. We could validate to not allow duplicate players into the Scrim. All of that stuff will be covered in the code sample below. One final note real quick, everything we've done here has been local on our computers, which is fine for when you're just working on your bot or developing it. But if you plan to have a lot of servers use your bot, you're definitely going to need to deploy your code to like a node server, something like Heroku or Glitch. Anywhere that you can host node code will work fine. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please consider hitting that like button. If you're interested in more game dev tutorials or things around game dev like Discord, please be sure to subscribe. Let us know in the comments what kind of Discord bot you want to make. And if you have any requests for any other kind of videos, you can put that in the comments as well. As always, if you want to hang out, talk about programming or game dev, you can join us in our Discord. The link is below. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.